welcome back. Yeah! Today's fun, 96 Ford F250 with a 460 and a ZF5. And we get to do the infamous transmission mounts. It's gonna be a good time. So if you look under here, you can see transmission mounts aren't doing so hot. Yeah, they're both broken. And since we're in there already, we're gonna do some preventative maintenance after we attempt to weld it. We're gonna be installing some better mounts. So to hopefully prevent this from happening again, I have the 460 EFI guys engine mounts, poly transmission mount, and I've got the Wild Horses transmission brace. Your tail housing brace incorporates into the transfer case mount and the transmission. So for this to all go together, transmission mount sits down, this plate will sit on top of it, you'll have a brace on each side, and then these ears will get welded on, and that'll bolt right in to the mounts that hold the transfer case on. So that's all gonna come together and go in there. So I'm gonna hope this goes a lot better than the last time I tried aluminum welding, because it was not so hot. Yeah, I royally messed up. Now, it would have been welded together nicely, because the welds were actually starting to come together. But I got impatient and I put too much heat into it and I warped the hell out of it. I got a little carried away and I may or may not have warped the wheel, just a little bit. So, not sure what I'm gonna do, but I have an idea. So, not my proudest moments. But, I'm gonna try this again, I guess, because I can't afford to pay somebody to do it, so I'm gonna figure out how to do it myself. Yep. So as you can see, this one is supposed to go here. This one, I believe, goes here. We're missing some chunks here. But what I'm gonna do to start with, I'm gonna hit this with some acid. Hopefully, help clean these parts up. So I'm gonna start by hitting these parts with some aluminum cleaner. Well, it's like an acid. And hopefully that helps get the pores cleaned out, because as you know, aluminum is a pain in the butt to weld if it's dirty. I'm gonna change out this carbide. The one made for aluminum. So here's the carbide that was in it. Obviously does not work very well for aluminum. And here's the one we're putting in it. See how the fluting? Should actually help clean itself out. Put that in, start cleaning. Now, I bet you're wondering why I used a die grinder over a grinding disc. Well, it's pretty simple. The grinding disc, yes, it's made for aluminum, but when you grind it, it actually puts that dirty material right back in it. It grinds it away. Or if you use a carbide, it actually cuts the material away and throws it out, so you don't have to worry about all that contaminated aluminum and oxidized aluminum getting back into your weld. All right, so here's the game plan. Got the TIG welder set up. I got it set in place where I want it. I'm gonna try and go through and tack it in place, both sides. I'm gonna pull this plate, the mount off, and try and weld it up. No promises how this is gonna turn out, but I'm gonna do the best I can. and I still got a foot pedal, so I got to run the foot pedal and do all this at the same time. So here goes nothing. All right, now that we got her tacked in place, we can remove this mount, finish welding it in. So I'll teach you guys a little trick my dad taught me. See, I got these holes that ain't closing up. Instead of going through and trying to grind it all out, you take a drill bit and you drill it out. So you get that little bit that's out of there instead of grinding it all. Now you should have clean material. You can actually go through and fill that hole in. So this side I'm starting to get stitched. Not the prettiest, but it's kind of a pain. And this I'll have to clean out some more because that's getting porosity and stuff. I must not have got it clean enough. I'm gonna get this welded up, get this finished stitched, and try and get in here as much as I can, but we're not gonna be able to do all of it. We're just gonna have to do what we can.
Okay, so it's one thing to run a grinder when you're underneath the truck. Okay, it's another thing to run the TIG welder when you're under the truck. Who knew Andre was this talented? Just watch his foot there. That's pretty insane.
I ain't the most beautiful weld in the world, but it should hold. I hope. But for being underneath the truck, I don't think it's going too terribly bad. Well, got that side stitched. This side stitched. Now I got some guts that I'm gonna put in here. And time to put the rest of the stuff back together. All right, transmission's all welded up now. Only took a few hours. Not the best welds in the world, but it will work. It's got everything kind of built back up, kind of resituated. Now I just got to put this transmission brace in. So we'll get that kind of mocked up, tacked together, bring her to the bench and weld her up. So got the brace stitched up. Got to finish a couple welds here and get some welds down there and weld down there. But other than that, that's about what we're looking for. All right, now we're gonna make Bob Ross proud. You can't put a part on without doing a little stuff, you know?
Oh, that guy, I mean. Okay.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
We were just talking about the game that Bob Ross had. I mean, one, the guy smoked like a chimney. Two, he had mad skills. And you know, with that hair, he got women that we never, ever could dream of.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so a little bit of this. A little bit of that. That was a happy accident. See, we got to run. Mwah. Picasso. Or Bob Rosso? Bob Rosso. Mm-hmm. We don't want any rust, so. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Couldn't have done it better myself. So to start off this morning, I had to swing by Ace here. I'm gonna see if they have the bolts I need. Need different ones for the transmission mount, need a little bit longer, and I need a little bit longer ones for the transfer case. So they usually have pretty good bolt selection here. Let's go check it out. All right, got the transmission mount bolts. I see the transfer case bolts. Well, I got my bag of bolts. Apparently there's almost 50 bucks worth in here. Thanks, Obama. Gunny. All right, so now that we got the transfer case brace all welded up, painted, I took and put the 2 mounting bolts in and slid all my bolts in to make sure everything fit. Got all new bolts all the way around. I'm gonna go through and do some prep on this transfer case before we slide her in. So we got this apart. It's a good idea to check your splines, see how bad they're worn. These aren't too bad. Normally they get pretty sharp, but luckily not as bad as I would assume it to be. So we're gonna blow it out. Then we're gonna take some grease and lube her up. Now, I like to use 2 fingers because that's the way I am. And she appreciates it. So get all that grease in there nice and deep like. And get her put in place. And since we live in the Rust Belt, you can't put bolts together without a little anti-seize. So we're gonna lube that up too. Oh yeah. Look here. One for you. One for you. For you. One for you. One for you. One for you. And a little for you. And some more for you. And put a little on here too, just because. Ugh. So now I gotta get this head, you know what?
Yeah.
Up on my lap.
Isn't it amazing how even with its... Here, can you just stop for a second? Down. Dude, they make tranny jacks.
I am a tranny jack.
Just want to point out the fact that, yes, he fully admitted he is a tranny jack. I don't know what that means in 2024, but it is funny.
I'm trying to work here.
So how's that going for you?
We're getting there. Huh? Yeah. Let's get everything lined up.
Well, you heard it. He's a tranny jack.
It's trying to work.
You shouldn't laugh when you work. It makes you drop things.
Yeah. Things. You know, you just
well, your elbow's in oil right now, so like it just gets funnier. Sorry, dude. I've just been there.
There we go.
She's in place?
She's getting there. Okay. And we're in.
Wow, you are a good tranny jack.
Yep. Ain't good for much, but I can lift stuff.
Now that you got that transfer case in.
Yeah, now we got this in here because strong like bull, smart like rock.
Know that feeling.
Start getting the next steps in.
At least it's not dumb like rock.
I said dumb like rock.
You said smart like rock.
I did?
I mean, that's more positive than dumb like rock. Smart like rock. Yeah, you do your job.
Okay.
I don't know. So what's your next step?
Drive shaft and 4-wheel drive linkage.
Nice.
And then I gotta waller out the motor mount, or the tranny mount. And then I can go to the engine mounts.
Nice.
But one step at a time.
Like always.
All right, so one very uncool thing I just realized. The bracket is in the way of the sensor. So, this bracket will have to come back off, and I'll have to notch that out so I can plug my sensor back in for the four-wheel drive. If it ain't one thing, it's another. If you've never seen one of these little Nipex, I think they're like a 5 3/4 inch Nipex, buy you one. You're gonna love it. I use this thing daily. Always just sits in my pocket. Right there. I take this thing everywhere, and it has saved my ass more times than I can think of. So, get you one. Oh, look at that. Just beautiful. Custom. With a K. Beautiful. All right, sweet. So my little notch job gave us just enough room to get the plug in. I've plugged this in first. But luckily, if I need to pull it off, I got 2 plugs. So, pull it back off quick, throw a little paint on it, bolt her back up. Should be mint. All right, so I got my notch cut out, and it should be ready to be put in. That's what we're gonna do. Well, that was less than fun to put in. These bottom bolts are just a peach. Just a peach. That's all I could do to get them all tight. Took me forever, but now that everything's tight, we can start putting everything else back together. Put that in, get all the wiring hooked back up, and then we'll tackle this transmission mount. So you're probably wondering what I was doing there. I'll show you. So on the cross member, the original motor mount sat in these slots. Well, tranny mount. This one doesn't quite fit. It's a little bit bigger. So, made this plate to go underneath it and help sandwich it in. So that should keep it from walking or breaking. I'm hoping. All right, now since that's all wallered out, this is how she goes together. So that'll fit in there. So the way it's designed is I can still have play, but this plate will sandwich it in. So now the mount sits in there just fine. So go in here, boom, done. Contrary to popular belief, these trucks actually aren't torqued to spec. Well, they are, but they're to a German spec, which is weird because they're an American-made truck. Good and tight. Oh, sliding back under here. I've got pretty much everything bolted up. Transmission mounts all in place. But you'll notice I left the drive shafts off, both front and rear. And I also left the exhaust loose. Did that so when I go to lift the motor up, I have a little bit of give so I can get the motor mounts out. So that's the next thing we get to tackle. Supposed to go find the cherry picker and figure out a way to hook on this engine so we can get it propped up. All right, since that was a pain, I got the old water bed out and the other one's put in with a little size comparison of the jalopy that Ford came up with to mount this freaking engine in. This thing is terrible. So luckily on the passenger side though, I was able to pull the motor mount out off the frame so I could get these two bolts out, which are almost impossible with this end. But now this will just go in, slide in, then I just put one bolt in. We're good, and it's nice and solid. I guess that's it. It's pretty much all back together. Just got a couple things here and there, drive shaft, intake, stuff like that. But for the most part, she's all done. So kind of button up a couple things here and then help Adam. Putting valve springs and injectors in the 12 valve. That'll be in another video. But yeah, now all that's left, I think, is to go test it. So that'll be next. So me and old Butters here are out trying out the new parts, and I gotta say, I could not be happier. This thing shifts so much better. I ain't got to worry about the engine walking. Before, you felt like the motor was about ready to pop out of the hood. Get a few miles on her. And so far, everything is much better. I can't wait to add some more power to this thing. So if you're looking for an upgrade, I highly recommend the engine mounts from 460 EFI guys. And I highly recommend the transmission transfer case brace from Wild Horses. Top tier stuff. I mean, it's a little bit of work, but when you're done, can't beat it. And I apologize. I know most of you guys are expecting some big old nasty burnout. And this truck will do it, but it does not like it. The axle wrap is so bad, it just sits and bounces. So it's not even worth breaking it, because I know it's going to happen. So, did you have a good time, Butters? Oh, Butters had a good time. He enjoys the 460, don't you, Butters? Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a real good boy. Thanks for watching.
If you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it, please like, share, and subscribe to Build, Beat, Repeat. It would be much appreciated. Please leave a comment on stuff that you'd like to see or any questions you may have. Thank you, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.